I want to show you the use of layers in organizing a more complicated Illustrator document. Layers is not usually something we are concerned ourselves with unless we want to be making multiple shapes, multiple complex organizational things that we can turn or put them on different layers and then turn them on and off. I've gone in the Pathfinder area up here. It's where I have the tab, and I've gone to layers, and with a blank page, there's no fill, stroke, there's no guidelines. It's a blank page, and you see there's one layer here, and it's just white. If I turn it off, you can't see the difference. It's a nothing layer. Now, naming layers is very important as you start to use them. So I'm going to take layer 1 and click on it. Click, and it says what do you want to call it? Not layer 1. I'm going to call it guides, because that's the layer I'm going to put my guidelines on. And you can have whatever color you want here. I'm going to save that blue for something else. And I'm going to make my guidelines let's say dark green, and see dark green shows up there. And then I'm say okay. Now the guidelines I'm going to use is I'm going to grab one and put it at 4 1/4. That's halfway down the middle of the page. And then I'm going to put a 1/2 inch or a whole inch margin all the way around. There's a inch on the left side. Here's 8.5 back to 7.5 on the right side. Here's an inch coming down from the top. There's a 0 and down to the inch mark. Remember, I've rescaled my ruler from top upper left corner so that my number starts from here out and from here down. On the bottom, I'm going to put a 3/4 inch. There's 11, there's a 1/2, and there's 3/4 inch. It's just a good habit to get into, to have your bottom margin bigger. Whoops, I did that wrong. Let's see, get this here. And there's my 11 mark right there. And so an inch plus 1/4. Okay, there's a little more space on the bottom than on the right and the left and the top. And then to get if you want a halfway guideline through there, you have to do a box that sits on your in between your guides there. And see that little mark right there? That's going to tell you where the halfway is between the upper margin and the lower margin. And I'm going to put a guideline right there on that center mark. That tells me that I'm halfway now in that ruler. Then I'm going to take, or in that box, and I'm just going to delete the box, and my ruler stays. Now look, in the guide rules, I've made all these guides, and each one of them is actually a layer, so I can turn them on and off. But I'm going to shut the layers here with this triangle. Now I have just one. You see what happens is you have sub-layers. Don't worry about the sub-layers a whole lot, other than you actually can go in and turn things on and off depending on what you want to have showing. But I'm going to turn you click this little triangle and it goes sideways, and then you can see I can turn the guides off all together, all on or all off. So that's the layers guide. Now this little button right here in the layers helps you create a new layer. So I click on that, and oh, there's layer 2. Layer 2, I'm going to take that name and call it square, S-Q-U-A-R-E. And it's going to have a red code color to it. And I'm going to take my shape tool and come here in the middle, and I'm going to make option and shift an option key down and make a big square. And I'm going to make that a red one, since, well, not red because I've got a red outline. Let's make that a blue square, a dark blue square. No stroke, just the fill. Okay, now notice that I can come to my square, and it gives me a little thumbnail of what's there. It shows the whole blue square and it fills up the whole thumbnail, but I can turn it off and on. So let's make another layer, and let's call this layer, not layer 3, click, click, let's call it circles, plural. And it's going to have a green code number. And notice the code number shows up here so that you not only have a name, but a code number to go by. Now I'm going to make some red circles, so I'll go over here and change my color to red and get my circle tool here, and let's make a circle, and I'm going to copy that circle. I'm going to put the circle right on the edge of my margin, top and right margin or left margin. Make a copy, pull out another circle, and then Command D, and I've got I want to have an odd number of circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go one more to 7. Command D. I'm going to take all these circles and with the scaling tool, mechanically with a shift key down, back them up so they're inside of my guideline or my margin area. Let's see if I can make that pull in there. Doesn't want to cooperate the first time. Let's just shove it a little bit there. Okay, so now I have my circles that are centered on my center line. Let's get that right there. Okay, so now I have my circles, and you see the circles are on this layer right here, so I can turn them on and off. I can make multiple units on there. Let's take that whole row of circles and option and put them down here in the center of the square. Okay, now I've got in my circles I've got 2 layers here, one on the top, one on the bottom, and you see in the thumbnail it sort of shows you that. I'm actually going to stay on that circle, select all these guys in the top, and delete them. They're just going to get too busy if I do that. So I'm going to leave my circles over that square. Let's make one more layer, and this one I'm going to call post. I'm going to put a post in the middle, and its color is going to be this medium blue. And I'm going to take my rectangle tool, I'm going to put a post right here, and see how I've centered that dot right there in the center. All right, now I'm going to make that a brown so it looks like a post. Okay, now I want the post to be in the back, but because I just made the post, it's the first thing up there, so it's on the front. So I'm just going to go up here to the layers and click on post and drag it down until it's under square, and it should have moved over there. Get on there. There. Okay, now it's moved and it's behind. So if I click away, there's my post on and off. There's my square on and off. There's my circles on and off. And when you look at your layers, it's like looking down at a sandwich. There's the pickles, there's the tomatoes, there's the hamburger, there's the lettuce. If you can move them around and put one on top of the other at will. If I want to turn off the guides, I can turn the guides off all at once, or not. So, how do you move one from one layer to the other? Let's say I wanted to have these 2 circles on their own layer. So I can say, all right, circles, let's make a new layer, and that layer 5, I'm going to call that 2 circles. Okay, now I'm going to select this circle and hold the shift key down and select that circle. There's the 2 circles selected, and they're on the original circles layer. Now, this little square that shows up here is the color code. If I grab that square and move it up to 2 circles, it changes to a yellow. That's its code. And if I turn off the initial circles, there's the 2 that are on another layer. Turn it back on or turn them on and off. Now I can go to the 2 circles and say, okay, I want those circles. I'm going to select them with the shift key to be a different color. Let's go this maroon. Okay, so now I'm looking at all the layers on, but I can turn them off as I need to or want to. Let's say I wanted to work on just the square, and so I turn off all the other layers. Now all I see is the square. And I can do things to the square. I can put more decorative to them. I can cut things away from it. I can do something to it that's going to make it more unique, but I can work on the square right then and there. For example, let's say I'm going to take I'm gonna go to that square and make sure it's lit up. It has to be selected. It's the blue one. And I'm going to put the guidelines back in so I can see my guides. And I'm going to take some rectangles, and let's see, I'm going to make them to be a lighter blue rectangle. And I'm going to put a rectangle right here that goes across the whole body, and it's going to be on the squares. It's on that layer until I move it, if I choose to move it. But let's say I'm working this thing, and I'm going to put this one up here at the top, and then I'm going to make some copies, Option key and the Shift key, bring it down, and then Command D, and make 4 of these things. Take these, all 4 of them, and see I can center them on this line here, because I can move it so that that center line is coming right through the 4 of them. And now when I put everything back together, there's the post behind, and there's some circles in front, and there's the other 2 circles. So I can work on one layer or the other, and then turn them all back on to see what my final, maybe at this point I turn my guides off so I see it just as that shape. If I wanted to take some other circles, like I've got the circles thing, and I want to take these 2 outer circles and copy them onto another layer. Let's say I want to copy them to the post layer. So now I hold the Option key down, and I click this little square color and drag it to the post. Now by holding the Option key down, I have actually left the 2 on there, but I have moved these 2 to the layer that is on the post layer. They're selected, so I'm going to pull them up and use the Shift key and bring them up here higher. I'm having some sneezings going on. So that is, now I've copied some of these circles onto another layer. And if I turn everything back on again, you can see where I'm going with that. I can go to the post layer and say, all right, I'm on that post layer because it's lit up, and I'm going to take my circles and I'm going to park them kind of in the corners here between the post and the blue square, and maybe even change their colors to a dark brown. Now let's see, let's go to that dark brown. It's not black brown. Okay, so there's the situation with the layers. I now have the guides, I have the post with the circles, I have the square with the blue rectangles, the original circles, and the new circles with a different color. That's layering. How you take move one thing from one layer to another. You just grab it and move it to the layer. If you want to copy it to the layer, then you hold the Option key down and move the little color square to the layer you want it to be on, and then you'll have that thing on both layers. Now you can go to the layer it's currently on and move them around a little bit, but that helps you understand how we organize things using the layer tools.